Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Bacon Ninja. I see a lot of people are already here already, and I hope you enjoyed that footage at the beginning. Did you notice how terrible and shaky it was? That's what I want to know. Did you see that? And also, do you notice that my voice is probably lagging behind the video? Just let me know that too. I'm using a new camera. It looks vastly different. If you hadn't noticed in my videos, I got a new camera. But anyway, what's up? I'm gonna say it that way every time. I'm saggy balls. I'm gonna say it that way every time. 8-bit FPV. What's up? Fly Zone Drone. Both the Fly Zone Drone guys in here. Nice to see you. Sippy662. Super Mario 603. Lord FPV. What is up, guys? What is up? Okay, so tonight I have to fix some things. That's the primary goal of the stream. I'm gonna fix this. This is the new build that you probably saw pictures of on the channel. I broke something the first time I flew it. The first time I took it out and flew it, I broke something, and it wasn't even my fault. My JB power cable, you know, the power cable that takes a 6S pack and makes a 2S pack. Well, that decided to just die on my DJI goggles in the middle of my flight, and yeah, it got kind of terrible. And I crashed. So I disarmed from 10, 15 feet up and right on the beck that runs my GoPro bones. So I've got to tear this thing apart and figure out what's wrong with that beck and determine if I got to swap it out or not. So I have a new one just in case, but we're going to tear that thing apart here in a little bit. What's up, SoCal FPV? New Mexico. Hey, I lived there for 10 years. Yep. New Mexico plates. It's yeah, I haven't got that fixed yet. I've not lived in New Mexico in a long time now. I'm not willing to put it on a live stream how long I've not lived in New Mexico. So I've got to get new plates for that car. But I've almost got it paid off. I'm kind of thinking if I just wait long enough and get new plates after it's paid off, I don't know. It's not even a real thing. I'm just making excuses for why I haven't done it yet, more than anything. So anyway, yeah. Before we get into digging apart this build, yeah, any questions you have, just throw them up in the comments. Nice to see you, Jack R. He's in here as well. Throw them up in the comments, and I will try to answer as much of it as I can before we get started. Because once I dig into this, I don't know how much of them I'm going to be able to read. But come on vacation, leave on probation. Yeah, that's about right. That is about right. That state, yeah, was an interesting place. It's absolutely beautiful. New Mexico is a beautiful, beautiful place to live, especially the part of New Mexico that I lived in. I miss the canyons and all the pine trees because, as you saw the flight footage at the very beginning, it's like not that here. It's just a bunch of terrible, terrible red dirt. And you know, the one day that I got to fly that wasn't full of red dirt in the air, I flew that quad, which we'll get to that quad hopefully on Saturday, if not Sunday. It might be Sunday before that video comes out. That thing is the shakiest quad I've ever built or flown. It's really bad. The Beta FPV board in it was just, it's kind of a nightmare. So, we'll get to that though. What's up, John Cuppy? John Cuppy's back in the stream again. Always good to see John Cuppy. But yeah, if you got any questions, go ahead and throw them in, and I'll try to get to as many of them as I can before we tear this thing up, because I've got all my tools out on my bench. I've actually got, I'll go ahead and show it to you. I've got a nice bench cam set up. I hope it works out where I can, you know, you can see my hands down here now. And it's going to be very different. Like my talking is not going to line up with the hands. I'm trying to figure that out. So we'll get that. We'll get it eventually. I'll figure it out. So that's what we're going to do. But yeah, nice to see you, Tread WM. How do you say that? Treadwim? Tread? Is it you defining the WM at the end? Treadwim? I can't pronounce anything. I'm terrible at pronunciations, if you can't tell from my videos. What's up, Devil's Reject and Fun Per Volt FPV? Yeah, about to do a safety meeting. Well, we're not going to have any safety meetings working on a quad. So you can cop out of this one. You don't have to worry about safety when you're working on drones. No, but in all seriousness, we're going to take the props off because I want to keep my meaty fingers. I always talk about my juicy sausage fingers. I would like to maintain said juicy sausage fingers. I don't want to cut them off. I see all these terrible pictures of people getting themselves cut up with drones on the Facebook pages. I have yet to do that, and because I just said that on a live stream, I am now cursed to have that happen to me. So when you see a picture of it happen to me, just know that's how it happened. It's I cursed myself on a live stream. So Steven's Pink Girl, that's not Steven's Pink Girl. That's actually my wife. You watch out for her in the comments. She says she likes the sausage fingers. They bring home the money, so she likes them. What's up, Leo M? Michael Honeychuck. No need for strips of bacon. Yeah, I guess if I cut them up, they would be. They would be strips of bacon. And they'd be more flavorful, but also a lot more messy. And like I legitimately do use my hands to make all my money. So I need them a little. I need them a little. I have to be able to operate a keyboard. That is the minimum requirement for my job. Operating a keyboard. Bacon witchcraft. Yes, bacon witchcraft. Yeah, John says, John Cuppy says, flying since 2016. And I can actually do this now. I forgot I have a feature I can do now. I can show it. There's John Cuppy's comment. Been flying since 2016 and luckily never been bit badly by a prop. Some scary stuff in the groups, though, indeed. Yeah, some of it looks downright terrifying. It really does. People just get their whole hand sliced up. And I'm like, how fast were your props running? Because I know, like, you know, when it goes to idle and it's spinning, it's fairly low torque on these motors, and I could see you getting cut, but not like shredded. People get super shredded up in the hands on these things. Like they're just full throttle in it. So, yeah. Yeah, fun per volt FPV at this point in life, the worst thing that could happen is a thumb injury. Yeah. The opposable thumb. What makes human beings separated in the animal kingdom? The opposable thumb. It's a brilliant thing. Yeah. Bitterroot, what's up? Yo, Bitterroot. Nice to see you in here. The Flying Grip. Welcome to Flying Grip. Once everybody gets in here, we'll start tearing this quad apart because another thing I don't know yet. So I got a Sony Alpha ZVE10, some random thing of numbers. I got a Sony Alpha camera. So I don't know how long the battery is actually going to last in USB webcam mode. So if at some point during the stream, you just see my video completely cut out, then you know what happened. And just know that it's because my camera battery died, and I will do what I can. But I have no guarantees. It's supposed to last 125 minutes. So, yeah, we're going to put that to the test. Yeah, John says 90% of it is no pre-arm switch and bumping their radio. Yeah, I could see that. Very preventable. Always either maintain control of your radio switches with due diligence or use a pre-arm switch. Pre-arm switches are really good at keeping your fingers safe. What's up, Nick Grolio? Is that how you say your last name, Nick? Grolau? I'm again terrible at pronunciations. If you have a hard to pronounce name and you come in here, you just go ahead and expect I'm going to butcher it. That doesn't mean I don't care. I just don't know how to pronounce anything. What's up, Nick? Gregory Hurst. Welcome back, Gregory, the one and only channel member on this channel. He has the only channel member badge. He holds an honor at the moment. Byron Lewis. What's up? I can't read either. I'm far away. I can't read. I can't pronounce anything. I am basically like a sausage with eyeballs. That's basically the extent of my human experience. Free range chicken FPV. What's up? You made it. David Howard. Awesome to see you. Oh, and a $9.99 super chat from Free Range Chicken. Thank you very much, Free Range Chicken. I appreciate the super chat. That will go straight to paying for this BEC if I have to replace it, because this is my last one. I've been using these iFlight BECs, and I don't know about them. I don't know about the iFlight BECs. I might have to switch to Maytech or something. These things they've died in a lot more ways than I would expect. I've had some of the inductor coils just like fall completely apart on them. I'm not super happy for the product, but I've heard some things about iFlight's electronics, and it's kind of holding true for me. So it may just be their stuff. Yeah, it is Brian, says Byron Lewis. Okay, it is Brian. Well, see, I read your mind, man. That's what it was. I was just telepathy, greasy telepathy. That's what it's all about. The Flying Grip. He says I guess he got cut. Cut deep took me down a bit. Was working in a hobby shop at the time. Yeah. They can. It's amazing how deep some of that stuff, some of the cuts are. Even for these, I mean, like, look, seriously, the props are flimsy little dudes. They make a nice little pinging sound, but when they're going so fast, I guess they're little razor blades. I've just never been on the receiving end of that, thank goodness. So. What's up, Anthony Z? Extra crispy or regular? Always extra crispy with a little bit of mayo on top. And white bread, never wheat. That's how you should eat your bacon sandwiches. You should absolutely eat them with mayo. It's got to be Miracle Whip, though. If you like Hellman's mayo, I don't know. I think you might be a crazy person if you like Hellman's mayo. Definitely, if you like Hellman's mayo and you're one of those diehard, I must eat Hellman's mayo and never Miracle Whip, let me know, because I can't understand the concept of that. It's not mayonnaise, man. It's not. Super Mario 603. Friends don't let friends fly iFlight. Yeah, I read that on a milk carton. Well, what I want to know, Super Mario, is where you got a milk carton at, because they're all plastic jugs now. And if you live in Canada, apparently your milk comes in bags, which is also mind-blowing to me. Very mind-blowing. Oh, Mississippi662 got his Quadmula in the mail today. That's what this frame is. He's always building something. He's got we called one of his quads the Phoenix because it rose from the ashes after he burned it to the ground. Luckily, he saved the frame, so he got to put new electronics in it, and that's the Phoenix. But hopefully he doesn't burn up his Quadmula. That'd be really sad. He's been waiting for that for a while. Let's see here. Welcome in, Chris Thorny. Good to see you. Trying to see if I miss anybody. Welcome, E-Rock. All right. Yeah, Chris Thorny says he has a bunch of broken stuff too, but in Australia Post sucks. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, Chris, it was you that left me a comment. It was today. I replied to it. Dude, you're not the only one. I've heard a lot of bad things about Australia Post. This stuff takes forever. It's bad enough to ship stuff to Australia in the first place, like all the way across the ocean. So, yeah. Yeah. Chris is running the Xing 1404 3800s. I went with the I don't have any Xing 1404s with the small ones. All of my big motors are Xings except for these. These RCM Powers are the first non-Xings that I've run in a while because I really like the Xings, and I started running those and kind of couldn't get myself off of them. But Xing makes a good motor, man. iFlight does make a good motor, but I hear some things about the electronics. I'm going to reserve the opinions till we pull out this BEC and see exactly what happened to it. But I'm telling you, it wasn't a very hard crash, and I don't have it on camera because it killed the footage. It corrupted the footage on the bones, so I can't even go back and look at it. Welcome in, Steady Eddie FPV. Just got done putting an ELRS backpack in my VRX for spectators. Loving my HD0 goggles. Yeah, man, that's awesome. The HD0 goggles having that ESP32 built in is super, super nice. Now, we just got to see what they're going to do with the Wi-Fi module. If anybody has the HD0 goggles, are you planning on purchasing the Wi-Fi module? I know it's going to be a pretty big deal when it comes out. It's a little bit more expensive, but the live streaming and stuff ought to be pretty cool. Devil's Reject says, let's burn something. I agree. There will be fire today. We will be using fire and things on this stream. SoCal FPV, anyone here know FetTech? I bet you somebody does. I get told I need to fly FetTech at least 30,000 times a week. Seriously, I get all kinds of messages and chats about you should fly FedTech and try it. Someday we'll see. Welcome, Redbeard FPV and Thomas Moore. Good to see you guys. Thomas is lurking in the background, changing a whoop frame. How's everyone doing? Tell Thomas how you're doing. Changing a whoop frame. What frame are you changing, Thomas? What are you changing to? That's the question. So yeah. Let's tear apart a Quadmula. What do you say? What's up, Johnny 5? Will the Wi-Fi hurt other pilots? We always have to tell people, ooh, I missed your comment, to turn off personal Wi-Fi devices to minimize video noise for pilots. Yes, I suspect that. So two things I suspect here. I suspect that the Wi-Fi module built into the little module, that's what it's called. I'm looking for a word. It's called a module. I suspect that the Wi-Fi module built into the module, that's a weird way to say that, is going to be 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi, because that makes the most sense. Most of the chips are going to support 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi because 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi is kind of on its way out the door. It should be really low milliwatt. I'm kind of wondering how it will even affect the pilot that has it in it too, because we're talking about broadcasting Wi-Fi from the goggles that are receiving a 5.8 gigahertz signal. Now, I know that Wi-Fi is going to channel hop. It's going to channel hop like crazy, but it's not efficient when it channel hops constantly. And you're going to be blasting potentially, maybe not on a race line, but on a freestyle line, you're going to be blasting potentially a watt of power out of your VTX, even though it may be, 100 feet away or more. You're still going to get a whole lot of that in your Wi-Fi. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure on that, what they're going to do to make sure that that doesn't interfere with the 5.8 gigahertz that are already being received and any other pilots on the flight line. I presume their answer to that is to use really low output power. But if you think about a VTX at 25 milliwatts, it'll still interfere with a pilot 15 feet away from you. And if you're on a race line, I bet it gets completely outlawed on a race line to have or use that module. But it's definitely going to mess with people. Definitely. And I haven't seen anybody ask that question. I've been thinking about that too. So I'm really interested to know when it comes out, because I'm not going to have the goggles. I actually have to send mine back to Ryan this week. I got to print a label and do that. I'm interested to know how that's going to work. So you let me know when you get one, because I won't be able to test it after this week at all. What's up, Frontline Fatal? Welcome into the chat. Good to see you, man. I don't remember if you made the last one, Fatal. I think you missed it. I think I snuck it in on you and you missed that one. Oh man, I stopped the comment reading for a minute. I got to catch up. Yeah, Steady Eddie FPV. You sent your emails to the senators and Congress people today. Great, man. I think that it makes a lot of sense to up the limit to 1 kilogram versus 250 grams. If you watched Bardwell's video about the origin of the 250 gram story, I mean, it's kind of crazy where they came up with that. And even though they put scientific evidence around the 250 grams, it was mostly because it already existed in other legislation, really old legislation. So they kind of just adopted it in as an existing standard. And it really needs to be thoroughly tested and, things done about the actuality of what that looks like in an impact. And I think going up to a kilogram would definitely alleviate a lot of people's problems with the current regulation that's going to start in September. Definitely. Because I know that even I've been considering going to more 250 gram quads so that I can get out from under having to put a module on all of them if I want to comply with that. And it's near impossible to do if you want to fly something really powerful and still durable. It's really hard to get away with a 250 gram limit. So I think that, good on you, man. I think more people should do it. I have sent them to mine, and I highly recommend you do. And there will be a video coming up on the channel to remind people. There's a lot of people already making content about it, so I think it's kind of in the forefront of people's minds right now. But before the FAA's Reauthorization Act gets passed and they get their budget for the next 5 years, I will be doing another video to make a second push, hopefully, after people have kind of forgotten about it a little bit. And hopefully anybody who didn't get to do it in the first round or forgot to do it or missed out on doing it in the first round can be reminded before that all goes through. So, yeah, awesome, man. Technique FPV. What's up, Technique? Mason Nordman, welcome in. Oh, my goodness. I can't pronounce your name. Udavik at Sai Mova. How bad was I at it? Was that complete butchering? Udavin Katsai Mova. Is that correct? You tell me, because I'm probably very wrong. Beginner in FPV. I'm using a SpeedyBee F405 V3. Can you tell me how to configure the TX12 Mark II receiver in Betaflight? Love from India. Yes, there is a way to do that now. I think that maybe there's some other things that you need to check out before you check out the Betaflight configuration on it. If you would shoot me an email to dadbodrc87@gmail.com, I'd love to go back and forth with you on it in a format where I can send you some pictures and things. Because it's going to be hard to do on this stream, being that my TX12 is dead and I can't really show it to you. So definitely shoot me an email or hit me up on Discord over on the Bacon Corner. There is a link to my Discord server in the description below. And I would be happy to go back and forth with you and send you everything you need and help you work it through. So, and you can let me know how badly I pronounced your name, because I bet it's pretty terrible. All right. Let's see here. Technique is loving his F5 split. Do you think the regular Siren would be be good for my V1 Air Unit? That is a good question. That's a very good question. Would it be good for your V1 Air Unit? So I know that. Let me get my keyboard out. I actually relocated my keyboard for this stream because I was going to do soldering. Let me pull up Quadmula's site and then I'll cut over to it because let's see here. Let's see. All right. So Quadmula's site, they've got their freestyle frames, 5-inch. Let's see. Do you think the regular Siren? So you're talking about not the split. You're talking about this, the F5. So this is not a split deck. If anyone out there is wondering the difference, the F5 is just a normal single deck quad. It does not have a split deck. And you see all the room back there? It gets a lot of extra room compared to the split. I'll show you the split's back rear end. You got to have a nice rear end view here. Yeah, so that's the split, and that is not how deep the split is. There's no way. There's no way there's that much room in the back of the split. Highly unlikely. The problem is it doesn't give you any specs on what the sizing is. I don't believe they have that on here. They don't give you any of the dimensions other than arm thicknesses. So like you can obviously, it tells you what you can mount back there. But it doesn't give you any dimensions of the hole. But I can ask for sure. I have some good contacts with Quadmula and Murders. Cool dude. He could let me know too. I don't think he's running anything with the OG Air Unit in it. So I would imagine it would fit in there, but it's going to be real tight. And it's going to stick over the edges. So definitely going to stick over the edges. What's up, FPV Trucker? Welcome into the stream. Oh, let's see. You, Davin Katsai Mova, said that I pronounced it correctly. Nice. I tried really hard, buddy. Okay. Let's see here. Bacon, have you thought about trying Parrot frames? They are really nice. Yes, I have thought about it. I see the Parrot hook running around everywhere, like super everywhere. I am currently for 2023 in the mode of picking a new perfect freestyle build. So there's going to be a whole lot of frames tried this year. I can tell you a few on the list. I'm considering the Parrot hook. I'm considering the Armatan Beaver. I am considering the AOS 5, maybe the 5.5 in the O3 variety. Maybe. I'm not sure on the O3 yet. I am also considering some stuff from Jack Higgins or Jack's 3D Printing. Some of his, I forgot the name of the product line, but I'm considering all those for the perfect freestyle frame. This one here, if you haven't seen it yet, is the Quadmula Siren F5 Split Mini. So this is the 20x20 version. And although this is an amazing quad, it is not in the runnings for the perfect freestyle rig because this is more of a steady spanger. You don't want to go bando bashing with that thing. It's got thinner arms and stuff. So I have a lot more frames to try before I call it for the year on my perfect freestyle build. And Parrot might make it into that lineup for sure. For sure. Oh, the Triton 8-bit. Thank you. Thank you, 8-bit. Yep, the Triton line. The Triton line of frames. Jack Higgins is a pretty cool dude. And yeah, he's got an awesome Facebook page, and I see him making and printing things constantly. So Bitterroot says the Source One V5 price just right. Yep, it is. I have one on the wall. I love my Source One V5. What I'm looking for on top of the Source One V5 though is a little more room to build on, honestly, because building on the Source One V5 can get kind of cramped, kind of very cramped. So, well, I'm going to switch over to the desktop cam. We're gonna add the desktop cam in here if I can figure out where my buttons are. Oh man, I can't. I just can't. Let's see. Let me remove that one. I have to learn how to run things. I know how to fly drones, but I can't figure out this stuff. Okay. So here's my desktop cam. Hopefully this works out. I have not yet done a desktop cam. Safety first, everyone. We're going to remove the props. We're going to remove the props, the most boring part of this whole thing. So here we go. You can watch me take these nuts off 1/2 a crank at a time. And the props I'm running on this are the Gymfan Spang. These are the 49336. It might be 36. I can never remember the pitch on the Spangs. All I remember is their 4.9 and their lower pitch. So they are really good on this lightweight quad. This thing is 650 grams all up, which is about 100 grams. And that's with a GoPro Bones, by the way. That's about 100 grams lighter than what I normally run. So, man, that one didn't want to come off. I'm going to spin it off. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to spin off the prop. Make some noise. There we go. Make a bunch of noise on the desk because I know the microphone's going to pick that up. So other than the Quadmula frames and obviously the Pirat hook and all the other ones that I've heard so far, what else do you guys think I should be considering for the perfect freestyle build this year? Because I'm probably going to take the next 6 months to figure it out, honestly. I'm not going to call it till the last quarter of the year so that I can make a real good decision, because whatever I pick is going to be what I run for a while. So what are the frames you guys think I should be trying out in this? I've got all the Quadmula frames currently. The next one is probably either going to be the Beaver or the AOS. So what else is in the lineup? All 4 props are done. I got to change something real quick because I don't think I'm seeing all the comments. I really don't. Maybe I am. Nope, I'm not. I am. I'm not. I don't know. I can't do technology. I do it all day at work. I can't do it when I'm home. It doesn't work. Okay. Get this GoPro mount off of here. Gotta love this GoPro sleeve for the bones. I have not. Fun per volt FPV. I'm an AOS guy, so AOS. Blizz's Garage. Oh my god. Which oh my god frame? Are you thinking the because the Moon Goat, or are you thinking like the what's Bot Grinder's frame? I know that oh my god makes that. What are you thinking? Because I do like Tommy Tabahia's stuff. That dude knows what he's doing. And he's just a cool dude. He's a really cool dude. I'd love to meet Tommy Tabahia. I'd love to have met him like 10 years ago and been flying quads then, but Moon Goat. Okay, yep. Bitterroot says the Moon Goat. The Moon Goat's a great frame. Cricket swears by the Moon Goat. I actually originally, before I started building the Mark V Pro, was going to get a Moon Goat just because I love Cricket so much. And I wanted to try what he's flying just to see why he flies it. But I wound up with the Mark V Pro because it doesn't have as low of a deck. And I knew the stack that I wanted to run was going to be super tall. And Cricket loves super low profile stacks. So his stacks were going to be way, way shorter than mine were. The Demibot, Jewel Porter says. The Demibot. Yeah, the Demibot is on my list too. It actually, I had already thought about that. It's going to be one of the ones I tried latest, though. Like latest. Lower, closer to the end, I will say. Because it's pretty heavy. That thing is a heavy dude. And it is a basher. When it comes to bashing things around, Bot Grinder knows his stuff. I just don't have places to bash like that. But I want to try it toward the end because it might surprise me for its weight and heft. Weight and heft. Mass. For its mass. It might be more agile than I'm thinking it is, but yeah, it's on the list. The Tank, Jewel Porter and Mark M say. That's Let's Fly RC's frame, isn't it, Rotor Riot? Rotor Riot, Let's Fly RC? That's his frame. Yeah, I've heard some good things about that one too. I hear it's out of stock a lot though, but so are most things nowadays. It's not just his stuff. It's not. All right, so we're down to the BEC here. It's right there. If you can't see it, I'm going to have to get some cutters though because I did not bring any to the table with me. Luckily, all my stuff is right here behind me. If I could find the right thing. Where are my scissors? No, I don't have them, so you're going to have to watch me cut this with a giant pair of wire cutters. Don't do this at home, kids. Yeah. Chris Thorney says you go Demibot over the Tank purely because of the shape of the motor protectors. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Bot Grinder had a lot of influence over those shapes. I imagine he handpicked that. Bot Grinder has some really good styling. I like that guy. I couldn't ever do the tattoos he has, though. I just can't bring myself to do that, but I think it looks pretty awesome, honestly. And I like that he's expressing himself through frame design with Tommy's help. Junolock 19. I want the Sector 5. The Sector 5 is a good frame. That one is a good frame. There's so many good ones out there. And what I look at when I'm going to do the perfect freestyle build are things that are unique about that frame. Like you got the, let's just take the Source One V5. Pretty run of the mill frame. It is a split deck frame. It has all the basic features. It has a carbon camera cage, but so do like 90 other frames on the market. They all have the same stuff going on. So like what differentiates it, right? So that's part of what I'm going to look at too, is what makes that frame special and why I'd pick that frame over just any other frame. But yeah, I got to look at the Sector 5 again. It's been a while since I checked that one out. Blizz's Garage, one of my troubleshooting tonight. I am fixing this BEC. So I got into a crash. If you guys weren't here earlier, I got into a crash earlier this week, and I basically tumbled like 10 foot out of the air because my DJI goggles just went off mid-flight. And my bones would not power back on this BEC, but it would on another quad. So I know something's wrong with the BEC, but I don't know if it's because it's how it's wired or where, it actually broke something in the BEC. It looks fairly undamaged to me. I know it's going to be hard to see in the video, but it doesn't look broken. So it could just be a bad solder joint, which, I'm not beyond having bad solder joints at times. So Giardle, you can get a 7-inch Source One. You sure can. You're darn right you can. It's exactly the same as the 5-inch. Honestly, they just extend the arms out quite a ways, which is good and bad. Longer arms mean more vibrations, especially when those arms are Source One arms, which are fairly narrow. But that doesn't mean you can't fly it. It's not always about perfect vibration dampening. This is Sissippy 662. Is it SSippy or Sissippy? Vanny style frame is a toilet tank design. Yep, I love a good toilet tank. Sometimes you just gotta flush it. You just gotta flush the toilet tank every now and then. All right, so I'm gonna check continuity between my solder joints. So I've got this. It's going to be really hard to see. Instead of going all the way back to the mains, I pulled VBAT off the front of the ESC here because it was simpler to get to. And I have continuity at VBAT. So that means that's good. Do I have ground continuity, though? I do. I do have ground continuity. Now, the real other question, I don't have any shorts. That's the next thing. Nope. I don't have any shorts. I don't have, well, maybe. Those grounds should be bridged. These should not be. That's concerning. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see that. I am touching the ground pad of this BEC with the hot pad of the output side, and it's beeping. So thanks, iFlight. Thank you so much. There's something internally wrong with that BEC. Awesome. A small little crash damaged it to the point where it shorted itself out. Justin Waller, Bardwell teased the update to his frame on a stream a couple days ago. I didn't catch that stream. He flies the QAVSJB edition. I wonder what he's going to update. I wonder what he could think is a good update in 2023 to his frame, because it's a pretty good frame. It's a pretty good frame as is. A lot of people swear by it. Yeah. Adam Kerpwisky. Is that right? Kerpwisky? I'm going to butcher everyone's name tonight. I just don't know how to say anything. Let's see. I lost the comment. Quadmula F5 split or AOS 5. Yep. This is the, if you're asking about this, it's the F5 split mini. What's up, Bitterroot? You're gonna head out to Looper stream in 10 minutes. Check out the Velocitrone update. Yeah, that Velocitrone update sounds cool. They're gonna add a bunch of easy to access resources. I like that they added the Polyworld assets into the normal stuff now. That is super awesome. Oh, and look. Let's see. So we validated that I got a short between the output pad hot and the input pad ground on that BEC. Now I'm just going to take a brand new one. That would be this one with no solder on it at all. And I'm going to check the same pads to make sure that we don't get... Yeah, see, there's no continuity between these pads on a brand new BEC. So that BEC faux show is dead. No more continuity testing. Devil's Reject. What the BEC? Yes, what the BEC? That is true. What the BEC? The new JB frame has a metal camera cage. That makes sense. I could see him updating that. I like me a good camera cage that's made of metal. It's one of the reasons why I picked the Mark V Pro whenever I decided to start running it, was specifically because it had a metal camera cage, and I wanted to fly something with a metal camera cage. I really like the idea of it. Now, whether that makes any actual difference in anything, I do not know. Because I have had frames that don't have a metal camera cage work just fine and never broken a camera on them. But then I also had a lot of wrecks where that metal camera cage seemed like it was a good idea. So I think that'll be really cool to see a QAVS with the metal camera cage. Leo M. Eachine Wizard frame. Eachine Wizard frame. How about, I just want to get, I have thought something too. So I want to get a Wizard X220 and I want to get the Darwin. I think it's John E5's Darwin build, or at least it has his name. I don't know if he was part of designing it. I believe that he kind of helped put the idea of it together, because that would just make sense, being that it has his name on it. But I want to get some of those quads and just see what is the cheapest bind and fly you can get and go freestyle with and beat the crap out of and not cry over when you destroy. I want to do that. I really do. I think that would be an awesome video just to go beat up some cheap quads and see what lasts and what doesn't. And I think the Darwin would go far. I'm not sure about the Wizard, though. I'm not sure about old Eachine. Their ESCs tend to explode. I'm just going to take these wires off of this old BEC here. Gently. With my nice helping hands. Ross, I want to highlight this comment from Ross. He says, thoughts on the Flyfish RC Volador 5. I have a lot of thoughts on the Flyfish RC Volador 5. I thought about that one, again, for the Perfect Freestyle build series. I took it completely out of the running when I went and looked it up. That thing, it's an amazingly designed quad. It looks like they put a lot of work and effort into the design. They did a very good job. It is their first one, I believe, from Flyfish. They normally do motors. And a lot of people say that they like it. I think it's way too heavy. It's way, way, way too heavy. It could be about, I got to look up the weight. If I didn't have a soldering gun in my hand, I'd go look it up. It's way too heavy. And it's because of all the extras. It's because of the design choices that it's heavy. It's not so much that it's because it needs the features. It's mostly just because of the design choices. I think it's just trying to be beautiful, which it achieves. It's a very pretty frame. I just think it's way too heavy for most use cases. So Bitter says he likes standoff TPU camera mounts. I ran the CL1 for a long time that had those, and I never had a problem. Those things were good. Now, I will say, like this right here that I'm working with, this camera cage, this is what I don't like about these, is unless I take my camera out, it's just going to sit here, and then I've got to put it in those little holes, and then if I take it out of little holes, it just flops around. And I've got to figure out something to do with it while I'm working on the quad. And it's okay. It's all right. But with TPU, it's a little bit simpler. Just take those standoffs off and take the whole thing off and let it go. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is bridge this 12-volt pad, because I run the BEC at 12 volts for the bones. Because the higher the voltage, the more the efficiency, the fewer amps you need to draw. So I run the BEC for my bones at 12 volts. I never run a bones off VBAT. I did it one time, and I have a dead bones in my drawer to prove it. It's not a good idea. Jordil, 200 grams. Phew. I bet you went and looked up. I bet you went and looked up the Volador. It's a heavy dude. Heavy dude. But it's their first stab at it. I'll cut them some slack. Really cool quad. This is how you cool off your solder joints. You just blow on them a little bit. Chris Thorney says, the Darwin really is good for the price, but it's not going to win any awards for power or durability. Yeah, no, you're right. It's not supposed to, though. It's like the 7-inch, which you might not be able to see because I have this cropped in a little bit more. The 129, it's not going to win any awards for being a long-range quad. It's not going to win any awards for being a racer. But it's, it's, what is it now, $180 for a 7-inch? It is what it is. I mean, you kind of expect some things. And for your money, I mean, you're getting some for your money. That's for sure. Maybe not a lot, but you're getting some. All right, that's cooled off. So I'm going to go ahead and tin the pads for the input and output on this. And I just want everyone to know, I did not anticipate how hard it would be to pay attention to two things at once, especially with a warm iron. I thought I'd try this, and it's not too bad. But I have very little mental capacity in the first place. So it's more difficult than I thought it'd be. Blizzard Garage, no, I can't zoom into the build table. That camera up there is a fixed lens. So no, I can't. I wish I could. But unfortunately, I cannot. I will eventually get all this stuff figured out and have like real cameras. I have one real camera. The rest of them are all cameras that shouldn't be doing things they're doing. Yeah. I could bring it down a little maybe, but it's going to get real. It's going to get in the way of the other camera if I do that. Then you're going to be staring at the one camera in my face the entire time. Bitterroot, SpeedyBee stack, Source One frame, Emax motors equals cheap and bashful. It definitely does. That's why the budget build had those. Exactly those reasons. Exactly those reasons. So I know you can't see this because Bliss's Garage asked me to zoom it in, but yeah, that is 6S up to, or 6 to 35 volts. So it's a 2 to 35 volts. It'd be more than 6S, 7 or 8S. I can't get the math in my head right now. Then ground, then output at whatever your voltage was. And it does a 9 volt or 12 volt based on if you bridge that. So I'm gonna do 12 volt on this one. And I've got these wires going to the front of my Skystars stack where there's a VBAT pad that comes off of the top where the ESC harness is and a ground pad. So that's where we're coming from. And that's where I had it previously. But I don't know. Just one good tap on the ground killed it because iFlight. I'm just going to go with because iFlight. I've learned my lesson. I've learned a lot of lessons about vendors this week and electronics. I've learned a beta FPV lesson recently. Definitely what everybody says that sometimes you just get dead stuff from them is true. Because I got dead stuff from them. And then I asked for other stuff, and then I got more dead stuff. And then I asked for third stuff, and I got somewhat not dead stuff that turned into dead stuff. So, good times. That'll be the video this week. Since you didn't already know. Buried alive, almost 4K subs. Nice sub, Bacon Ninja. Welcome, Buried. Yeah, I'm just getting this soldering done, which means that I can't see anyone's comments because I'm over here soldering the entire time. It's rude of me. But I figured I got to do this anyway. So let's do this together because I want to fly this quad this weekend. T4V07 Live-In Dreams. What kind of flux brush? I think I've been overestimating the flux in my solder. So I am using the SRA, if you can read that, SRA flux pin for rework, alcohol-based, no clean flux. The important thing is the no clean. This one is okay. You can get it on Amazon. It's relatively cheap. The problem I have with it is that it flows a little too easy. When you press the tip on the pad, it will leave an entire puddle. No doubt, it will leave an entire puddle before you can even blink. But over time, hopefully it'll run out a little bit and stop doing that. But it cleans really well. And then obviously I've got the brass brush, and under the brass here is rosin flux. So every time I stick my soldering iron in, it gives me a nice little puff and cleans my tip, which is really nice. The YH08C tip cleaner. Also available on Amazon. That's my publicity voice right there. Yeah. SSIP662. Skyzone gives you about 3 seconds to land after low battery warning. Almost lost my Cinnabot in water. Yes. But so my Skyzones don't. I haven't ever had them give me a warning. Well, maybe because I'm stupid and I didn't set them up right. But they turn red. Like the screen just starts flashing strips of red across it. And before I can even determine what in the heck is going on, I have lost all power. That's normally how it works for me. The first time that happened, I'm like, what in the crap? Because I was running a large 5S pack, I want to say, from RDQ, one of the RDQ ones. Or no, it was a Lumineer one, whatever their in-house brand at Get FPV is. I was running that. And it just totally took a dump on me in the middle of a flight for no reason at all. It had like 4 volts a cell, and then suddenly it had no volts a cell. And there was no warning. It was just dead. Buried Alive, he says he uses the same flux pin. It's a good flux pin. It does clean really, really well. FPV Trucker, he ordered a Quadmula frame, have the room for a giant 1 watt HD0 VTX. Yes, it does have the room for a 1 watt VTX. It has the mounting pattern for it. And yeah, I actually have the thing up still. Just double checking. It should have all the room. I was originally going to put a 1 watt in mine and then wound up with access to the O3 system, and that's why I wound up putting an O3 in it. But the plan was from the start when I got my Siren F5 split was to put a freestyle VTX in it. And they do have the TPU prints for it at Quadmula as well. So all of that is good to go. You should be good, man. All right. So I think we're done with the soldering. I will lift this up so you can see my soldering job. You can tell me, can you see those solder joints? You tell me if that's good soldering. Have I been doing this for 20 years? Yes. I have been soldering for 20 years. That's why I can talk to a camera and make a good shiny ball joint at the same time. That's a skill. It's a completely unmarketable skill. Thank you, nerdy hobbies of my life. It won't do me any good anywhere else, but by God, it works in drones. All right. So now that I've got that, I'm going to give it another test. Always good to test. I'm going to give it another test to make sure I don't have a short. And make sure it wasn't something else I'm not anticipating. And then I'm going to voltage test it and wrap it up to make sure that it doesn't get shorted out on something else in a different way. So let's make sure that these 2 pins don't have any continuity. Oh, look at that. What do you know? This one's not freaking broken. That one should have continuity because those are shared grounds. But I shouldn't be able to hit those 2, and I shouldn't be able to hit those 2 because we're going across a BEC. And a BEC is isolated, which is why you use a BEC in a scenario like this, because it's not like just splitting off the voltage to another device. It actually uses a coil to separate one circuit from another. So much better when it comes to voltage spikes and shorts. Chris Thorney, I brought the Newbie Drone Toolkit You bought it. The Newbie Dome toolkit comes with a sweet little soldering iron that can run from flight packs or Lions. But the solder it came with is so crap, and the M2 hex is slightly undersized. Yeah, I hate when an M2 hex is undersized. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I have an entire kit of M2 screws that I don't have a screwdriver that fits because they're just not the right size. It's almost like you need an undersized driver for that. And I hate undersized drivers because they strip out screws like nobody's business. Adam Kerpusky. Everybody's name is just fair game tonight. Would you choose the AOS 5 over the F5? No, I would not. But that's not the AOS 5's fault. That's my fault. The AOS 5 is a terrific quad. Chris Rosser knows what he's doing. He absolutely does. The dude is brilliant. I'm going to switch my view real quick because I'm going to talk about this. The dude is brilliant. He knows what he's doing. That is a very clean, very well-designed low resonance frame. It is very, very good. The only thing that I don't like about the AOS 5, and sorry to all the AOS fans out there, is the camera cage. The fact that it sticks out the front. So if you look at this is the split mini, obviously. But the cam's all inside the front, right? So that means when I am angled up, in order to whack anything, I've got to come at it from this angle, which is, a pretty good angle for protection. I have some carbon bumps there. A lot of frames have protection. With the AOS, the camera cage actually angles up out of the front of the quad, and it puts the camera at basically a flat angle to things you're flying at, but in front of the prop line, which is great whenever you want to get your props out of view. However, I run into so many things with the front of my quad. I nail everything with my camera when I do wreck into stuff that I would go through lenses like nobody's business. So it's just not a design that works well for me at the moment. Now, I may have to try the 5.5 and the O3 versions and give them another shot and another fair shake for the perfect freestyle build because they fly really, really well. But I would still pick the Quadmula over them at the moment because I haven't shown anybody the black box logs from this, but it is very clean. It is very, very, very clean. And it is a very different frame than the AOS. It doesn't have all the double arms and special carbon and special designing like that, but it is incredibly clean for what it is. And the one piece of resonance it does have is way up in a place where it can't bother you. So everybody's experience may vary with that, though. Depends on how you build it. You can absolutely build a quad whose resonance characteristics go straight out the door just because of how it's built. All right. So now that I know it won't short, I'm going to switch back to my other view. There we go. Adam says he's jealous of my pink prints. I wish Quadmula offered more colors than just the dark green for those of us who can't be bothered to add a 3D printing on top of everything else. I agree. The pink is pretty cool. I really like it. These are my wife's favorite colors, the teal and the pink and the baby bluish all together. She's not such a fan of the baby blue, but that's why I went with it. Is more of I just picked her favorite colors and decided to build a quad with them. Even though she doesn't want to fly this quad, she thinks it looks pretty. I figured, hey, if I'm going to build something, maybe she'll think it looks pretty. All right, so I'm going to cut myself a piece of heat shrink for this. I'm going to put this camera well out of the way because we're about to use fire. Put my heat shrink on this, and then I'm going to get my fire out. And we're going to flame roast this until it shrinks. Because I don't use a heat gun. I use a butane soldering iron. Louis H. Buenos evening. E2. E2, Luis. Chris Thorny. Yes, she is still flying the Avata. I don't touch the Avata. That is her drone. If I touch it and break it, then I've broken her property, basically. I don't even use her controller. I don't use her goggles. Sorry about that if they clicked real loud. I don't do any of that. It's completely her baby, her toy. She hasn't got to fly it a lot lately because the weather was really cold and bad for a long time. And now the kids are super needy. And my daughter's whole diabetes thing that we're having to relearn how to live, basically. So it's been a busy couple of months, and she hasn't gone flying. but I'm sure she's looking forward to getting back to it. And we definitely will over the summer, but I don't touch it. It's all hers. I stay far away from her gear. Okay. So if you've never used a butane soldering iron, this is a butane soldering iron. And the great thing about it is the combustion chamber is right here. You can probably see a little orange glow going on right there. Combustion chamber. That's the exhaust vent. That exhaust vent is tremendously warm. It will scald the ever-living crap out of you, but it's great for heat shrinking things. You start it up and you set it under there and you heat shrink things with the exhaust. It's kind of like a heat gun, except for the whole time you've got to worry about the super hot other parts. It adds a little danger and excitement to working on drones with fire. But it does a really good job for heat shrink, especially the stick clear stuff. I would never trade my butane iron for anything. I actually wanted to, I solder all my motor pads with this too. Motor pads and XT60s with butane. The thermal conductivity is just so much better on this iron than any electric iron I could afford to purchase. And I have a really good iron. I have a Hacko, a really, really good iron. Kmart FPV, what's up? Thank you. He says he loves my content. I appreciate you, Kmart. It's too bad all your stores closed because I really liked Kmart back in the day. Kmart was cool. Yeah, Chris Thorney says he didn't know about my daughter. I'm sorry to hear. I had a mate who had diabetes from a young age. He's doing really well, very manageable. Yep, she's type 1. Her pancreas decided to just, give out and do its thing. It just it left the chat. So we found out the hard way that she's type 1 diabetic, and it's been good though. She is learning a whole lot, so are we, and she's able to manage it. So it's all good. She's doing a really good job. We're all really proud of her, taking her own shots and keeping up with herself. It's hard for a 10-year-old to do all that, but she's really taking it on. So she wanted to be on the stream 2 weeks ago, and she didn't tell me. So she was upset at me for a while because she didn't get to make a cameo like Bacon Bit did. So she'll be on here at some point. Not today, but at some point. All right, so I've got that BEC all in there and looking good. I'm just going to put a zip tie on it for now. I hit my microphone. I bet that sounded great. My microphone's always in a really terrible place, but I don't have a desk big enough to put it anywhere else. Ross, another question. I bought secondhand motors. Didn't realize they were Xing ePro 2207 2785 kV motors. I'm running them on a Volador with 6S 75% motor out throttle limit. Should I get lower kV motors? I'm going to pause the building to answer this question for Ross because it's a good question. So Ross, it's totally, I wound up like way over to the left. It's totally doable to run what you're running. So 2785 kV is a little high even for 4S. So I see why you're going with a 75% output limit, and that's totally reasonable. The quad is going to act exactly like it would if you had low kV motors on 6S. So that is totally reasonable to do. You aren't losing out on anything by that. The one difference is the higher the kV motor, the more amp draw it takes to make low end torque. So the fact that they're high kV motors means that the size of the windings inside, the thickness of the wire is actually a little bit different than a low kV motor. In fact, it's thicker. So that means that it takes more amps to get the motor to kick up and have some torque at the low end. So you're going to be pulling more amps with the ESC. You're more likely to burn out ESC by running high kV motors on 6S with a throttle limit. And did you say throttle limit or motor output limit is what you want? Just so you know, if you're running a throttle limit, you really want a motor output limit so that you don't accidentally, your PID controller, if you're running a throttle limit, can still access 100% of the KV. So you really want a motor output limit in the PID tab, not the other tab, not the rates tab. You want to be running that in the motor output limit. But the only thing you're losing out on is some efficiency when it comes to amp draw and the possibility of maybe burning out an ESC sooner rather than later. But is it worth $100 for a set of motors or whatever it may be? If that's what you want to do, Xing Pros you could get for probably what would that be? $70 for a set for the right KV. So it may be worth it to you. but you might blow up an ESC faster than you'd like. So Frontline Fatal. Yo, my FC doesn't light up with a battery, but I can connect to Betaflight. After my quad took a dip, what are the chances my ESC went bad? Dude, Fatal, come on, man. Stop breaking stuff. Stop falling in water and breaking stuff. And then when you do fall in the water, just leave the quad and walk away. No, that's probably not the best idea. No, there's a couple of reasons why that could be the case. Either your ESC died. Are you getting any ESC tones at all when you plug a battery in? Any tones at all? You should get doo-doo-doo whenever you start the ESC, even if the flight controller is not working. If you're not getting those 3 tones, that means your ESC is not providing any power to anything, and your ESC is likely dead. If you are getting those 3 tones, but you still have no lights on the flight controller, there's a good possibility that you've killed the 5-volt rail or the 3.3-volt rail in your flight controller, or something shorted it. Some of the water was in there still afterward when it was powered up, and you've shorted it. So are you hearing those tones? That'll be the real question. What's up, Callie? Bacon Ninja just dropping by to see what's up. We'll have to replay the stream tomorrow. Well, you're not going to miss much because I have been incredibly boring while working on this drone. It's been really hard to keep up with chat, and nobody can see anything. I'm trying something new, but I don't know how well it's working out. I don't know if you guys like this better, or you just want me to talk to you with my face the whole time. But at least I'm getting something done with my quad here. I'm going to be able to fly this weekend. So Ross, yeah, I meant motor output. Yeah, that's the right limit. You want a motor output limit. That way the PID controller doesn't get access to 100% of the power. Because if it does kick it up there and those high kV motors get up to 100% of their real output, then you're definitely going to have a toasty marshmallow for sure. And Chris Thorney says he's about to say that about the tones too. So also FC to Betaflight working means FC should be fine. So it's just not getting power from the ESC. Yeah, so that's a good point, Chris. Frontline Fatal, if the flight controller is booting off of the USB and it's able to connect to Betaflight, then that would mean the 3.3 volt rail still works, because the 5 volts is being provided by your computer, and then it's being down regulated to 3.3 volts, which is what the MCU and the gyro and all that work off of. So like Gregory Hurst said a couple comments later, that would be a 5 volt rail problem. So if you're getting ESC tones, then and you're able to connect it to Betaflight and Betaflight works, then most likely, yeah, 5 volt rail. Now there are some ways to fix that. So you let me know if that's the case, because there are some things you can do to make that work. Without completely replacing the flight controller potentially. However, because you dipped it in water, I can't guarantee that other things won't go wrong. In some time, I imagine more than what's happening now will go wrong. Just a saying. It's entirely possible. Okay, let's get this fixed up. It's almost done. So I'm just putting a nice zip tie on here for now. I'll go back and do this better later. I just want to see if it works. I'm going to break it again anyhow, so who cares, right? Who cares? It's going to get crashed again. It's going to die. It's going to live a really hard life. I just want to make sure it stays a little bit. Get in there. Stay in there. I'm going to have to cut this off. Zip ties are the bane of my existence in small spots. I have to cut it off. It's not going to work. Nobody saw that. It wasn't on a live stream. Live. I never do anything stupid. Ever. Yeah, Chris Thorney says, unless it's an AIO, then you're screwed. Yes, then you are screwed. Because the AIO means your ESC doesn't come off the flight controller. Let's see. Joe Towen, building my first drone. I'm planning on running Forest, but accidentally bought 2207 1800 kV motors. Will these work on Forest 5-inch? Yes, they will work on Forest 5-inch. It will not have much power. But is it your first drone ever or your first build? If it's your first drone ever, it's not the end of the world, because you'll probably appreciate the fact that it doesn't have boatloads of endless power. Honestly, a lot of people start out with their first drone by using a motor output limit or a throttle limit to make sure their drone doesn't have too much power for their learning curve. So you might actually appreciate the fact that it doesn't have as much power as other 6S quads. Or 4S quads, I should say. Ah, man, I keep hitting the microphone. Terrible. Yep, Gregory Hurst says the exact same thing. Good call, Gregory. It's like you were reading my mind. Because you're a channel member, you can read my mind now. That's one of the many benefits of being a channel member. Ross says, J-Towen, I'll swap you motors. Then both our problems will be fixed. He's not wrong. He's got really high KV 4S motors. Y'all ought to exchange some emails or something, because that would solve both of your problems right there. Come on now. I didn't do this twice. I didn't just do this twice where I put the zip tie in a way that won't actually hold the stupid BEC. No way would I have done that 2 times in a row. Nope, I didn't. See, I told you I didn't. It held it. Gregory Hurst says he knew I was going to say that he was reading my mind. You know how he knows that? He's reading my mind. It's a terrifying place, Gregory. We'll see how long you last. I'd get out of there if I were you while you still have some sanity. All right. So the next step here is to set my camera back in place so I don't ruin anything. Get in there, camera. All right. Set yourself back in place, camera. This is one reason why like me and carbon camera cages don't get along. Because they never want to sit down. They always want to stand up. It's just not my favorite thing. Okay. I'm putting my capacitor back on, which I got a lovely comment this week about the length of my capacitor wires. It was cool. It was really cool. I get lovely comments sometimes. Yeah, Jay Towen he says first drone ever. Plan on doing mostly tree surfing and cruising around. It'll be great for that. Don't worry about it at all. Don't fret. Don't fret. 1800 kV on 4S will fly. It's going to have a really high hover point, which you may not know what that is yet, but it means you're going to be high on the throttle just to maintain altitude. So you're not going to have a lot of room for like diving and catching yourself or anything like that, but it will fly. And you will be able to learn, and you'll probably have an easier time because it won't be so twitchy. So, Chris Thorny says, at least you don't have zip ties holding your broken arm together while Australia Post doesn't know if it lost my package yet or not. That's true. That's true, Chris. Thank you for giving me a silver lining. Okay. We're going to get a pack out. Notice how I do not have any props on the quad when I'm about to plug this pack into it. Notice that. Please take note of this. Okay, we're going to plug a pack in, and I'm going to test the voltage output on this plug. Voltage DC. All right. Voltage DC. And then I'm going to take my plug. I'm going to set my probe in here. Get in there. I hate probing at plugs. 12 volts exactly. 12.01. All right. Now that we've validated that, I'm going to get a bones out. Excuse me while I whip my bones out. That was a terrible, terrible joke. But I really, really like Blazing Saddles. All the Mel Brooks movies, really. Did you know History of the World Part 2 is coming out? And if you haven't seen Part 1, now is the time to go watch it. Because Part 2 is going to be epic. Okay. There we go. We got a red beep on the bones. Has no SD card, so it should complain at me. Yeah. Just turns right back off. But it works! So it's just the BEC. I didn't ruin anything else. Just the BEC. Awesome. Well, that's the only thing I had to fix today. We have everything fixed now. So now I can pay more attention to your questions, like I'm supposed to, because this is a live stream. We fixed it. I'll put it back together later. I'm not worried about putting it back together. I was more worried about this piece of junk being a piece of junk or not. Looking at it even closer, I still don't see what went wrong here. I don't see any reason why that would have happened. There's no reason at all. Just a piece of junk. Chris Thorney, have you tried the SMO 4K? I have not tried the SMO 4K, but I have wanted to try the SMO 4K. I have a peanut somewhere in my monstrosity box of monstrosities. Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. I have a peanut, which is not an SMO 4K, but it's the little brother, and it's pretty good. I like the peanut. Actually, I'm completely wrong. It is and it isn't. That's a Caddx product. SMO 4K is Insta360, but wrapped in a different wrapper by someone else. Right? Right? Still Insta360. That's what I'm getting at. It's made by Insta360, or at least the main components are. But no, I have not tried it. I normally live with the Bones. The Bones is my go-to for flying because the O3 and I don't get along anymore. Adam Zaninovich, yes. He asks, do you really run 3000 kV motors on 6S on my F3 build? Yes, I do. I really, really do. It's on the wall up there, and I would get it, but it's so far up. Yeah, they're Emax Eco II 2004 3000 kV motors on 6S. I surely do. I don't run four blade props on it anymore, though. I run tri blade props now. I gave up on the 4 blades. I just like the feel of the tris better. It doesn't have as much grip, but I kind of like it being a little looser. So that's why I went with the tris. But yeah, it's a very, very good quad. And I will be doing another video about that too, because I never did a full actual video on the Quadmula Siren 3 F3 split. And I really need to do it some justice because those are good frames. And I think some other people have built some 3 inches on it as well recently, and I really enjoyed them. So, but yeah, great quad. Well, does anybody else have any questions out there? Because now I can actually pay attention to your stuff. So, oh, well, Adam has another one. Adam Zaninovich, I want to build an F32. Any tips? The build is so tight. There's nothing you can do about the tightness. It's going to be, unless you build an analog quad with a 20x20 AIO, it's going to be super tight. You should consider, if you're wanting to build it on 6S, you might consider a bigger AIO, or maybe a stack that doesn't have a long ESC, that has a square ESC to give you a little bit more room in the back end. You should consider a smaller capacitor, which isn't the best idea, but the fact that the capacitor is so large makes it a really hard thing to do in the F3 split. You should consider if you're going to go DJI, a Link or Vista instead of the O3 Air Unit, even though the O3 Air Unit gives you the recording capability, because that fits much better in the rear bay than the O3 does. It's all a bunch of trade-offs. It really, really is. There may be some other stuff you can do with the camera mount in the front to not use the stock camera plates, so that you could maybe use TPU front standoff mounts and get a little bit more room up front if you want to relocate your capacitor. It's tight all the way around. Absolutely tight all the way around. Yeah, Chris Thorney says the Peanut is Insta360 wrapped in a Caddx SMO 4K is supposed to be the Insta1R. That's right, but it isn't it? Oh yeah, it is supposed to be for whatever that base 4K camera is that was the one before the modular one, I think, is what they're supposed to be putting in there. So it's half the price. So I really don't get it. It's only half the parts, man. That's the way it is. It's half the price because they only put half the parts in it. Brandon Beans, yo, what's up, Brandon Beans? Good to see you. Focus FPV, I'm late. What frame and build are you fixing? I've already fixed it. You've missed it. Nope, it's the F5 split mini build. I broke the BEC that runs my Bones, and we have replaced it. And I have determined that this iFlight BEC was a piece of crap. That's what happened. So I soldered a new one up, and it's good to go. I've fixed it already. And that's the only thing I have broken right now. I have another thing for beta FPV, but it'll take me an hour to do, and I know the camera is not going to last another hour on battery, so can't do it. Can't do it yet, but it'll be in Saturday's video. Fun per volt FPV. Love my AOS 5 V2 3.5 inch with 1408 3000 kV 6S. Yep, the 1408s are a good option. The tall motors are really good on 6S for small builds. You really don't need a lot of stator width. I run the 2004s because I'm a crazy person. But there's like 1604s, I believe. But a lot of people will run 14 or 1508 or 07. And it does a really good job, even on 6S. Just got to get the right KV in there. 3000 is a good KV. I wouldn't go too much higher than that, though, on 3-inch. And it looks like he's doing that on 3.5. You can't put 3.5-inch props on the F3 split, though, unfortunately. It will max out at 3-inch. Yeah, the SMO 4K is pretty interesting. So you used to use it, and then you switch to the bones, and now you use the O3 a lot. How do you feel about the O3? How do you feel about the O3 unit having to be locked into the frame rate you're recording in being the frame rate that your goggles are using? How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the color grading if you color grade? Because I know how I feel about it, but maybe I'm just one person out of a million. Joseph Loeffler, does climate affect PIDs? It can. It can. There are a couple of things to consider when you're talking about climate and PIDs, and it's kind of hard to find a good relation. So if you're talking about hot or cold areas, as far as climate goes, colder areas tend to be harder on lipos because lipos cannot release energy as fast in a cold environment. Now, once they've warmed up and become stable, then they're able to dump their energy at the correct rate. But if you're in a consistently very cold climate, you may find that you have to run higher PIDs because your battery is unable to put out as many amps as it could. So you've got to push a little bit harder. If you're in a consistently hot climate, the inverse is kind of true. Lipos are really good at putting out energy at higher temperatures within reason. And you will find that your motors will get very, very hot very, very fast. Where I live, it gets up to like 110 in the summer. And I have to retune my quads for summertime. Almost consistently, every quad, every summer, I'm going to have to retune it because I have to drop the D gains down. I have to take away some of the filtering cuts that I've made during the wintertime when it was a little cooler because my motors just will not cool down. So I have to consider that with my PIDs. Another thing to consider is altitude. So the higher you are, the thinner the air is, the higher your PID gains may need to be to counteract the thinness of the air. Or you may need to put higher pitch props on since they're actually moving less air volume for every rotation because the air is thinner. So there's some considerations there. And the inverse is true. If you get lower in altitude, the air is thicker, closer to sea level, and the props are able to more efficiently push against that air, meaning the PIDs can be a little bit lower, and you may be able to run lower pitch props and get more response out of it. So I hope that answers your question, Joseph. It's a long answer to your simple question. I'm good at that. I got a comment today that said I talk too much. That was a good time. I get a lot of weird comments. Let's see here. Focus FPV. It's a moment in time, and I'm okay with issues like lock frame rate because we are all progressing. Yep. Awesome. That's a good way to look at it. That is a good way to look at it. Brandon Bean says he likes the O3. I fly smooth, freestyle, and cinematic and mid to long range, and it's working great for me. I don't shoot in descending. I just use auto color and maybe a little EV correction, lock white balance. Yes. So I did auto shutter with mine. I let the shutter speed do its thing. Obviously, I locked it at 120 FPS because I like to fly in 120 FPS. Locked the white balance. I never used EV correction, but I did fly in descending-like just because I wanted to see what the 10-bit color would do. And I have to say it's good, but it is not anywhere near as good as the color grading options I have in my GoPro footage. So that's really why, for me, it's a different goal. Like, I want the artistry of being able to color it and mix it with the music and all that stuff. That's just what I like to do with my footage. And the O3 doesn't let me do that as well. It becomes kind of picture book stuttery because I shoot in such a high frame rate because I like to fly in that frame rate. And then I just can't color grade it the way I want. So I'll be putting links and vistas in my builds for the foreseeable future unless I just cannot possibly carry a GoPro on the rig. So, yeah. Yeah, Brandon Beans followed up. He says he's made a few that look great but lack motion blur. Yep. It's really hard to get motion blur if you're going to fly anything reasonable with latency on the O3 system. T4V07 Live in Dream said he asked into FPV forum worried about if he should be worried about D in winter. No replies and spoke to one that week. Yep, that can happen. Yeah, it all depends. I mean, it could have been a whole lot of reasons why you smoked a motor in the winter with your D gain, but I do adjust my D gain and my filtering for temperatures. Absolutely, I do. For me, I can push my D gain higher and get less prop wash in the winter time, but that's all relative to your build. The burning of the motor may have been more about filtering in that case, potentially. Building an HD0 540 by 90 because life makes no sense, which would need an action cam. Yeah. So are you saying, Focus, that you have the Nano 90 camera? Do you like the Nano 90? Do you like it? Is it good? I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Bardwell did, obviously, because I didn't make any weird animal noises, but I liked it. It's pretty good. Let's see. Chris Thorney, the internet delivers strange comments. Who would have thunk it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to put it in a different frame of reference. Being a person who literally doesn't ever socialize, like I never, ever socialize, ever. I avoid socialization in almost every instance. Putting myself out here on the internet and then stumbling into people actually coming and finding it and watching it, which still blows my mind. I'm learning whole new things about the internet lately. Whole new parts of the internet I didn't know existed or were the way they are. It's a whole different experience. And the more people find the channel, the more of it I find. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what else, see what new things can happen in comments. I mean, they never bother me. It's just really interesting to get into the psyche of what would make some people say some of these things. Just, I don't know. Focus FPV, absolutely appreciate the point. I can grade pretty nicely, but yes, lighting can't be super dynamic or lose some things. I'm a beginner and I'd eat $500 a day in action cams. That is a great reason to fly the O3. And like on my Siren F3 split, that's why I fly the O3, not because I would kill a bunch of action cams. I just literally can't carry it on the thing. And I'd rather have good footage than DVR footage from a Vista. And if you're going to save yourself from destroying action cams and you're a beginner and it makes you feel better about sending the quad, then by golly, send it as hard as you can and feel better about it without killing an action cam, because that will benefit you more than having any GoPro footage in the world would. Just the ability to feel better about crashing your quad any day of the week, man. Chris Thorney says he always checks his motor heat after almost every pack, and I find them getting warm. I back off my tune and assume I cracked or slightly delaminated my carbon somewhere. Yes, absolutely. And for the longest time, I could not figure why my Mark V Pro had hot motors. And then I found my first arm delamination. And I don't know if any of you saw it on my channel page. I'm going to show everybody this because I've thrown it away since then. Let me go to my YouTube page. Studio.youtube.com. And let me go to my communities tab because I want to show you this picture of this delamination in case you did not see it. In case you didn't see it previously. Hold on a second. Let me get all this up. Add to stream. Check out that delamination. Do you see this? That is an M3 screwdriver or an M3 driver between the delamination of my arm on a Mark V Pro. So that's not my first one. That is my fifth one. That is the fifth arm I have found delaminated like this without even ever crashing it. This was underneath all my wrap, my motor wire wrap, so I didn't see it. And then the end here was held together by the motor screws, so I didn't see it either. No thanks. No thanks, Skep RC. Thank you. Come again. No more of that, please. No. Mm-mm. So, yep, that kind of thing will give you hot motors every time. Every time. Yeah, Brandon Bean says, tried a 10-bit workflow and still couldn't grade it as well as I could, touching up the normal color. Yeah, the 10-bit it's cool that it says 10-bit on it, but I haven't found the benefits of the 10-bit in the O3. I do not have 10-bit color available to me in my bones. It's the Hero 10 bones. If it was an 11, I would. But it has plenty for me. I do fly in the flat color profile with GoPro though. And then I obviously color grade and I use Johnny LUTs, and then I tweak them every time. I never use the same Johnny LUT in the same way twice. I don't save them as presets or anything. I just make the tweaks every time, and however artistic I want it to be in that moment. That's kind of how I like to do it. So, Fun per Volt FPV. Name 3 rap songs. You want to name 3 rap songs? Okay, I can do this. They're going to be old though. They're going to be old. Gangsta's Paradise, obviously, and that comes to mind because I'm more fond of Amish Paradise because Weird Al wrote a song called White and Nerdy, and that epitomizes me. Let's see what else. What's that Sir Mix-a-Lot song? Does that qualify? I Like Big Butts. That's the rap song, right? Does that qualify as rap, or is that a totally different genre? Let's see. What else? What else is there? I can name a third. I promise I can name a third. Honestly, in high school, I used to listen to a lot of it, but I can't. I said I could name 3. I don't think I can name 3. You've caught me you've caught me Fun per Volt. I can't do it. Can't do it. I thought I could. And if Sir Mix-a-Lot's song doesn't count, then I can only name 1. So, hey, Bobby Bags. I don't know if you've been here a while. I'm just seeing your name now, but thanks for showing up, man. Yeah, I'm going live. I'm learning how to do this. I'm adding it to my repertoire of things I'm bad at. It's been a real struggle today. It might not seem like it on the other end of the camera. It might, but it's been a real struggle today to get it all to work. And I still have a lot to learn about it, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. Yeah, Chris Thorney. Holy delamination, Batman. That's the worst one. I've delammed 5 arms in the last 6 months. I think it's 6 months. 5 arms in the last 6 months. Maybe they're all from the same batch and the carbon was just crap, but regardless, I've delammed 5 arms and I'm tired of it. I'm done doing it. I will cut my own with a CNC machine before I buy more of them. So that's where that's at. Fun per Volt. I can't do it. I'm going to have to look them up if I do this. Like, I could probably name 3 rappers. Ludacris, 50 Cent, Biggie Smalls. Tupac, obviously. I could name rappers. Does that count? Does that count? I can't name songs. But to be fair, I can't name songs of any genre ever. Ask my wife. She is super into classic rock, and she can name every song and who wrote it and who performed it and all the people in the band, and I can name none of it. Most of the time I can name the band, maybe, but I cannot hardly ever remember the name of a song. Brandon Beans. She looks like one of those rap guys' girlfriends. Yeah. She does. She does. That's a good song. Have you ever heard the country version of it by this is going to, like, don't judge me. Please. Okay, you're going to judge me. It's the internet. Judge me, but judge me gently. There is a country a cappella version of it by a band called, I can't even remember the name now. It's Free something. Home Free. That's what it is. Home Free. They make a country a cappella version. And if you're into that kind of thing, you should check that out. Skizix. Yeah. Sir Mix-a-Lot counts. You damn right. Sir Mix-a-Lot counts. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I cannot lie. You can't deny. It counts. Chris Thorney just noticed my bacon prop logo. How have I not noticed that before? I drew that myself. That was the first thing. Everybody says that the first thing you do as an FPV pilot is get an FPV name. Well, I came into the hobby with one. That name existed prior to FPV. But the first thing I did in the first 60 days was draw that logo just so I could put it up on videos, because I wanted to keep track of myself. And I thought, hey, I had named my channel DadBot RC previously because I did a lot of truck stuff. But I'm like, I'll just draw a new one of these. And I wound up with the bacon props. And then maybe someday, Jim fan, if you're listening, make me some props that have bacon strips printed on the top. Like the whole prop has a bacon imprint on the top. And you can put my name all over them. And you can make them the 4934s, these props right here. If you want to make these in a meaty color with bacon strips printed on top, you can put my name on them. And nobody will buy them but me, but I'll be happy. Adam Zaninovich, judge me gently, name of my autobiography. Yes. No one's going to write an autobiography about me. If they do, it'll be the most boring book anyone ever picked up. I guarantee you. Gregor here says, when I was a kid, my girlfriend asked what my favorite band was. Metallica. Who's in it? Uh-oh, I never thought about that. So interesting tidbit. I had a mix CD back when you could play MP3 CDs in a car. Like you had your CD, but it had MP3 files on it, because that's when I went to high school. So you put the CD in, and it had Metallica. It had Hotel California by the Eagles. I know that one. That's the only song other than Metallica, and really, really trashy rap on it. And that is what I drove between church and school every morning. That's what played in my car, because I went to church at 5 a.m. every morning, and I had band practice at 6 a.m. every morning because I'm a band nerd. And that's what I played in my Mustang, my red Mustang GT convertible with green undercarriage lights and two 12-inch subs in the back that I built boxes for myself. Welcome to my high school years. The girls ran screaming away from me. Never even knew who I was. It all makes sense now, doesn't it? I've just let you all into the horrible, terrible parts of my life. Yeah. Let's see. Have you seen how they FPV in Ukraine nowadays? I hope that doesn't make laws worse here somehow. And if you can talk about it, if you can't talk about it, understood. Yeah, I'm not going to get specific because you're right. It's probably not something I want to get into. What's going on over there is just a travesty of mass proportions, and I'm so sad to see it happen in my lifetime. I never thought it'd be possible. I underestimated the capability of human beings to be the way they are. And some of the things they're doing with drones over there make complete sense. However, I do think that in the future, it will open the regulators' eyes to some things that we were hoping they'd never think of, just because it's so blatantly out there. And I'm not looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be very surprised. But I would imagine that part of the next 10 years at the FAA there will be some regulation around those things. Now, some of that already exists. How well enforced it is, I don't know. There are already laws that limit the kind of things you can drop from a drone and the kind of things you can strap to a drone. So that already does exist, but I imagine they get a little bit more strict about it and maybe start defining things a little bit better and stop loosening up so many terms. Free range chicken FPV. Look at you now, though. Yeah. Look at me. Look at me. Look at this unkept hair and these nerdy glasses. Yeah. I have band nerd written right on over my forehead. And I work in the nerdiest position possible at work. I am the ultimate nerd. I literally work in a cave. I turn all the lights off in my office. I have an office. It's a decent sized office. I turn all the lights off. I shut all of the shutters. I close my door. I put noise canceling headphones on. And when people knock on the door, I pretend I don't exist. That's how I continue to live my life. Yeah. Chris Thorney says, now we have free range chicken and bacon. You're getting hungry. Well, just imagine if you could catch the free range chicken, which should be moist and juicy as it's free range, you could grill it and then you could put bacon on top of it. And then you could put some cheese on top of that, because nothing goes with drippy, greasy fat like gelatinized fat. Fat on fat. That's my motto. It's how that is how I live my life every day. Fat on fat. Focus FPV, just join the Greasy Discord. Welcome to the Discord. I want to see at least one meme from you in the Discord. You gotta send us some memes. We need that meme chat to go off, man. Tis but a meme. That is the channel in there. We need it to really go off. Almac FPV, welcome in. Yep, I'm streaming. I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. It's been an hour and a half now, so I'm really waiting on the camera to die. It is on battery power, and it has been since about 7 o'clock, which is 2 hours, over 2 hours now, on battery power with a full-size mirrorless Sony Alpha. I'm kind of amazed it hadn't died yet. But when it dies, it's going to be over when it dies. If it doesn't ever die, I guess I'm just going to have to keep doing this forever. Yeah, free range chicken. Totally agree with my take, I assume, on the situation. I wish they wouldn't have publicized weaponization of FPV. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, though, that is part of the reality there. And it makes sense why they're doing what they're doing with it, because that kind of combat isn't the kind of thing that one can fight traditionally. I'll just put it that way. Not that I've ever done it, but the tactics of it do make a lot of sense. It's going to happen. The bleed over of regulation is potential. Fun per volt FPV. Been back on keto about a month, eating all the bacon and bacon fat I can. That's how I got my name. I wanted a gamer tag. What was it? What would it have been? Oh man, it was so many years ago now. It probably would have been 7 or 8 years ago. I started the keto diet. I weighed 450 pounds. I lost 200 pounds of it on the keto diet over the course of 2 years. And I ate a lot of bacon. And that's how myself, because I was rebranding my entire life around this huge change. And so I rebranded myself Bacon Ninja on my gamer tag, and it kind of just stuck. So congrats on getting back on the train with the keto, though. I love the keto diet. I can no longer do it, though, because we're just going to get into all kinds of things about Bacon Ninja. I have congestive heart failure, so I can't eat a lot of salt. If I did the keto diet, I had to be even more limited than keto is. So whenever I did it previously, I had not been diagnosed with congestive heart failure. But because I weighed so much for so long, I did the keto diet. I bulked up. I did a whole lot of weightlifting. At one point, I was doing 750, 800 pound deadlifts, 400 pound squats. I mean, it's not super crazy, but I did a lot of reps. I was really into it, and I was kind of buff. And then I found out I had congestive heart failure. So I literally take medicine that makes it hard for me to walk a long distance, much less do any of that anymore. So it would be really hard for me to do keto and be successful at this point. I'm thinking about it again, though, just because my daughter being diabetic, it's easier for her to have that kind of food. But FL Engineer, instrument of choice, trumpet, trombone, or French horn. None of those. If I had to pick one, though, I would pick the trumpet. I'm more adept at playing the trumpet than any of the other two. If I had to pick a brass instrument in general, though, I would go baritone or tuba. I did march my freshman year with a sousaphone, even though I could not play it. But I am a saxophone player. That is what I did. I'm an all-state saxophone player, actually, here in Texas. So I was pretty good at it, but I was not good enough at marching because I was a giant boy in high school. So they gave me a sousaphone, which matches the giant boy, and I marched with a sousaphone, and I tripped the entire line and I broke a kid's nose. It's a good time. Like I said, my autobiography or my biography in general would just not be very interesting. AJSR71, what's a good long-range 7 to 9-inch frame? Been looking at the Recon 7 and the Chimera 7 so far. I did keto 2 and lost 85 pounds. Works as long as you stick to it. Way to go, guys. Yep. It does work really, really well. As far as the frame, I like the Chimera 7. I think they have a Chimera 7 Pro as well. I would really be into that for 7 inches. I would also legitimately take a look at the Apex 7-inch. If I wanted to go 7-inch, I would actually consider the Apex 7 DC, the 7-inch DC Apex. Looks like it'd be a really good option. Then I believe the AOS line also has a 7-inch that I would consider greatly for those things. So. Chris Thorney, you weigh 115 pounds. I could lift 3 of you right now. Can you duplicate yourself 3 times? Put yourself in front of me on a bar so I can try it. He says 4. He says 4. I might maybe 4. Yeah, I haven't lifted in a long time. My heart may actually explode in doing it. But yeah. FL Engineer says he wouldn't have guessed sax. You just can't tell a sax, man. You can't tell. Now, it may make you feel better to know that it was baritone saxophone. I played alto sax my freshman year. And then I just like the size of the baritone sax. My hands are so large, it made more sense for me to play bari. And yeah, that's what I went to state on, was baritone sax. Lambo drives Zambo, FKA Water Chose. Is that Water Chose? Does that say Water Chose? Water Echoes. It doesn't say Water Chose. There's actually an E in there that I totally missed. I'm an alto sax player myself. Definitely not Kenny G. Dude, only Kenny G is Kenny G. Nobody's Kenny G. That dude, crazy. I had a book of songs by him that I tried to learn, and I did learn some of them, but he plays his stuff on every kind of saxophone, and I'm not about the soprano, man. Like, if I'm going to play that, I'm going to play clarinet if I'm going to hold it out in front of myself. If you people out there don't know what any of this is, just think about the nerdiest possible thing you can be holding, and that's what I'm talking about. Prop Lord FPV. Hey, what's up? What's up, Prop Lord FPV? Low Dash reminded us to send our reps a note on the 250G limit. Yes, absolutely. And if you don't know where that is, Joshua Bardwell talked about it in his news yesterday. He also released a video, I believe, yesterday and today about where you can go do that. And I have a post on my community page about it. If you don't have access to Joshua Bardwell or whatever it is, you can go look at mine too. I have links to where you can go to the FPV Freedom Coalition's page on it, where it gives you instructions on how to do it. But we would like to get that up to 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams, because this year is the year which the FAA receives its funding from the Congress. And it would be nice to have them mandate to the FAA that they need to relook at the limits for weight on quads that don't need remote ID. So that's what the whole push is. Brandon Beans, we need to discuss sub 250 O3 build options. Yes, we do. It's hard. It's hard with the O3. The O3 weighs quite a bit for a camera system. It's totally doable though, but you would need a fairly light frame. I know with the Siren F3 split, it's not super heavy, but it's a little more of a freestyle build in that it's kind of a school bus box split deck. It's kind of hard to make a 250 out of that. With a pack on it, mine does not weigh 250. It doesn't. Without a pack on it, it weighs 249. And that's with 2004 3000 kV Emax motors, which are too big. I could go smaller. With a Skystars stack and an O3 Air unit in it, with no camera on top and as little TPU as possible. And it still weighs, with a pack on it, like 310, 320 grams. So it's really hard with a pack to get a freestyle rig with an O3 in it down to 250 grams. But someone out there can do it. I just don't know what kind of loss you're going to take in durability. I suspect quite a bit. If you did it with a 4-inch, you could get away with a little bit more, but then you're going to crash it harder. So it's a really fine line for the O3. Now, naked O3, maybe. TJ McKinnon, what's the best basher frame for an O3? I don't plan on using a GoPro. The best basher frame for an O3. I don't know that the O3 will fit in the bot grinder. Oh man, you guys said it earlier, and now I've forgotten it. Bot grinder's frame. Yes, that thing. Demibot. That one. I don't know that it will go in that. I think the rear bay is more focused on things that aren't the DJI O3 system. Basher, though, that's a hard call for bashers. I'm gonna say the Flyfish Aventador is probably a darn good basher. It's just super heavy. If you like a heavy quad and you don't want it to break, maybe that, or you could cut out some weight. Oh man, you'd probably want something lighter so you don't break it. That's a tough call with an O3 in it, especially because I haven't seen so many people bash the O3. Most basher builds are out there doing they're still running the Vista or they're running analog. I'd have to ask some people, But if you want to head over to my Discord, you might be able to ask some other people. Off the top of my head, though, I would look into the DemiBot and see, because if any frame is going to hold the bashing, it's going to be the DemiBot. If it will fit an O3 in the back, then it's going to be your bet. Brandon Beans does say the DemiBot will hold an O3. If it'll hold an O3, then that is what you want. If you're talking basher, that's where you go. Straight to the DemiBot. That thing is it's purpose built to be a basher. Proplord also says the Bando Killer V2. I haven't looked at that one, but Proplord says you might check it out. What's up, H2O? Good to see you. Focus FPV says, check out the Superfly sync mode. Superfly, his presets are great. That dude knows how to tune. He is a hardcore tuner. He says sync mode. But I definitely trust Bot. If Bot Grinder is going to put his name on it and say that it bashes, then Bot Grinder is not going to lie about it bashing. That guy, he will destroy some crap. And if he can fly it without destroying it, it's going to hold up. See here. FPV Trucker says Bot says it'll fit all systems. So yeah, the O3. And now I know Bot is not the kind of person to go fly in O3, but he is the kind of person to consider that other pilots might want to. So that would make sense. I've just never seen, I haven't yet seen anyone do it, so I wasn't sure. Focus FPV says he'll post build pics of the sync mode that he just built on Discord and a link to the frame info. So if you're not on my Discord, go check it out because sync mode or Focus FPV will put that sync mode on there in case anybody wants to look at it. Yeah. Well, we're coming up on 9:19. I'm probably going to give this another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to my chair popped. And then I'm going to have to cut it off because I know that my camera is going to die. And my children are going to try to go to bed. So, plus I have to work tomorrow like a total punk. Who has to go to work on a Thursday? Jeez. Who does that? I feel like so many people on YouTube with FPV, it feels like they don't go to work in the morning. I know they do. It's so weird to be on the other side of it. They're just normal people with jobs and everything else. Well, some of them. Some people do it as a full-time job. But Focus FPV, cheers, bud. And hook them if you said Texas ATX in the house. Yeah, hook them. Hook them. Yeah, you don't do that here. You do that here at a Walmart, and you're going to get tackled by a whole bunch of Texas Tech fans. A whole bunch. That's the straight to the hospital sign here. I don't know if a lot of people know this outside of Texas, but football is. If you think football is crazy in your state, football is crazy here. Like really intense. Every bit of money in every school goes to the football program. Everywhere. We don't spend money on anything else. All those sports, nah, football. That's what it's all about here. Lambo drives Zambo FKA Water Echoes. What's this hook'em? It's Hook'em Horns. It's a University of Texas. It's a UT thing. He says he's from ATA, so Austin, Texas. That's where UT is. UT Austin. They're again really, really invested in their college stuff. So we are here too in Lubbock, where I'm at. Texas Tech, another large Texas school. Yeah, everything you see here has Texas Tech logos on it, whether it has to do with the school or not. So. FL Engineer says, visiting San Antonio for the first time, everything is bigger in Texas. Are you already in San Antonio or are you coming to San Antonio? Because if you're already in San Antonio, it's a good time of year for that. If you're coming to San Antonio, stay out during the summertime because you are liable to pass out and never return. Yeah, it's bad. It's humid and hot. San Antonio's cool though. You have to visit the Alamo. It's mandatory. I was kicked out of the Alamo once, mostly because my children decided to eat a snack in there. When my daughter was 1.5, we went to San Antonio. She ate a Cheeto, and they threatened to kick us out. Luckily, I was able to talk the person into letting us stay because I took the Cheeto away from the 18-month-old. Yeah. Lambo drives Zambo. Football in Texas is dumb. Well, I'm in Minnesota. We've got a hockey high school going on now, which is a thing. Yeah. We have hockey here too, which is super weird. Super weird. We have hockey in Texas. We have the Dallas Stars, which are a fairly large hockey team, and a lot of people here actually follow it for it being the opposite of ice here in this state. Okay. Chicken Adejo. Chicken Adejo? Is that it? Chicken Adejo? Are you mostly flying the O3 or HD0 system recently? I'm flying a lot of HD0 recently because I was testing out the Nano 90 cam. I also put HD0 in a 65 millimeter whoop that I've been flying quite a bit. But I haven't been flying the O3 as much as I had been, even with the HD0. I've been flying more of the Runcam Link and Wasp in this build than anything. That and HD0 have kind of been my last couple weeks. That's what I've basically been flying. HD0, though, I'm going to have to send the goggles back because those aren't mine. I was borrowing them from somebody. I can't afford to own them. So I'm going to have to send them back, and the HD0 is going to... I'm going to have to fly less HD0 for a little while. I have to go back to the VRX, and that means I can't use any of the new fun stuff. So... yeah, Lambo drives Zambo. I bet your children will always remember the Alamo. Luckily, she was not old enough to remember, but I do relive the story for her pretty often. I haven't been back to San Antonio since either. Whenever I went there last, I owned my own business in the place where we lived, and we were out of town for the vacation there. And I got probably 40 phone calls a day, and it wasn't a vacation at all. And since then, I really have not taken an actual vacation. Maybe once or twice in the last 10 years. So. Yeah, that kind of ruined vacations for me. Fun per Volt FPV. I watch so much YouTube. One of my grandsons asked if I was a YouTuber. Yeah, technically you are a YouTubee. You should tell them that. See if they figure that one out. Lambo drives Zambo. Bacon Ninja FPV Dallas Stars used to be the Minnesota North Stars. How we lost our team to y'all. Really? I didn't know that. So where I grew up is very near where the Dallas Stars operate, like their main arena or whatever it is that they operate out of and practice out of. It's very near that, and everybody was super into it. And I never even went and watched the game. If I do have to say, though, if I wanted to pick a sport to go watch, like, don't get me wrong, I like to watch football, but I'm not super hardcore into it. But if I wanted to get into a sport to go watch as a spectator sport, hockey might actually be one that I'm into. I like the violence. Who would have known? Who would have known that I enjoy some good old-fashioned violence? Oh, Chicken-Eyed Joe. Okay, Chicken-Eyed Joe. That makes sense. Well, it looked like Chicken-Aedo. I was trying to make it fancy, but I like the play on it. Now that I know it, thank you. I like it. See you later, Fly Zone. Thanks for checking it out. We're about to wrap up here in a minute anyway. Free range chicken. Are you asking me, am I a tech by trade? Yes. I am an engineer of types. Whenever I came out of high school, I had a full ride scholarship to be an electronics engineer that I did not take because I was stupid, but thank goodness I didn't, because I wouldn't have the life I had now. If I had taken it, I'd been working for Intel. It was sponsored by Intel. And then I didn't do that, so I went to work and I sold shoes, and then I moved and I became a machinist for the oil field, and then I worked for a prison, and then anyway, it's a whole long story. But I wound up owning my own business doing IT consulting for companies and home users, and then I eventually sold out to doing healthcare. I worked in healthcare IT for a long time, and now I work at a little medium size consulting firm that operates in quite a few states, helping to run and organize all of the technical things there. So that's what I do every day. You headed out, Focus. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up here in about 4 minutes. So if you got any last minute questions, send them, because my camera's gonna die. I know it's gonna die, and I'd rather do it on my terms than let it do it to me. So. Because it will. It'll just die and not tell me. I guarantee it'll do it. Lambo drives Zambo. The Zambo in my name is for Zamboni. I drive an ice resurfacer for Minneapolis Park and Rec. Won't steal any more of your time while you wrap off. So I bid you adieu. I've always thought Zambonis were cool. They are super complex machines. You wouldn't imagine that they are, but they do a lot more than just ride over the ice and put water down. It's kind of crazy. And it feels like Zamboni is the only company that makes Zambonis too, which is also crazy to me, given that in this world, anybody can copy anything. Zamboni has like really held on to that. So awesome. You have a pretty awesome job, man. Free range chicken. Thank you. I will keep the streams coming. I'll try to make it better every time though. Eventually I'll get all the technology worked out, but the way it is right now, I have to set up everything individually. So yeah. Borked, linky to my Discord, please. It is in the video description below. I don't have it to copy and paste into the chat at the moment, but it is in the video description below. It's I don't remember if it's close to the bottom or the top of the description. It's in there. The Bacon Corner Discord. Come hang out. Later, FPV Trucker. Ant FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Love the content. I appreciate it, Ant. Everything I do on this channel is only supported by you. I don't get any money from advertising. I don't get any money from vendor relationships, none of that stuff. And I don't get any sponsorships. So everything is supported by you completely. So thank you for your support. It keeps the lights on around here. Literally, I have like 3 lights that are on and it pays for all that electricity. Leo M, catch you later. Focus FPV, do Patreon if you can. Good night. I do have a Patreon. I have 31 people on my Patreon. When I get to 50, I have to do an entire either live stream or video. I haven't decided which one it'll be, but one of them, the entirety of it will be done in a bacon outfit. So when I reach 50, that will happen. You all have the ability to make that happen. I made those goals when I never thought they would be achieved, and apparently I've been wrong. Focus FPV says 32 now. See what's happening here? See what's happening here. 32. That means they're 18 away from me having to sit here for the entirety of a video in a bacon suit. Why do I do these things to myself? Why? Thank you, Focus. I really do appreciate it. But you people are going to make me have to do something in a bacon suit. Like it's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be really embarrassing. Thank you. Well, all right. It's coming up on 9:30. I'm going to wrap the stream up. It's time to put my kids to bed. So I hope that you've enjoyed the live stream. Let me know in the comments if they continue, or over my Discord. Head over there. Let me know if you liked the format of me working on a quad. I know it was probably hard to see, and I will get better at it. I promise at some point I'll get better at it. Surely that's how this works. I'll get better at it. But let me know if you like that format of being able to see me work on stuff and answer questions. I kind of want the live streams to be a mix of things. They're not going to be the same thing every week. At some point, I want to do some community interaction with maybe some of your videos and some of your content. And I want to do some giveaways and I want to do some contests. So I think that's going to come down the road. But we're going to try to do this once every 2 weeks. Let me know what else you'd like to see in the live streams and what you might like to see improved, because I am trying to make it better all the time. And thank you so much for hanging out. It continues to amaze me that all of you come out here and support me and have a good time chatting. And it feels like I'm just sitting around with a group of friends. And I really appreciate that more than you know. And until next time, stay greasy. I'll catch you all later.